There's been a lot of news around the new Sora that's out, Sora 2. And for those of you who are not familiar, Sora is ChatGPT's video generation tool. And now they have a new version, which is called Sora 2. This is not available in all markets yet, and it's invite only still in many markets. So you may or may not have had the opportunity to experiment with this. But what we're discussing today is how tools like Sora 2 are able to change the game when it comes to video creation and make infinite imagination possible to create by anybody with no prior skills, thanks to a tool like Sora 2. We'll talk a little bit more about what this tool is and what it can do, but I wanted to say hello to Sabine. Thank you for being with me today. And I'm super excited to discuss this with you because it affects how we think about imagination and how we keep our imagination alive with AI.
Hi, Abha. Good morning. It's great to be here with you. This is a very interesting topic for me, to be honest, because I basically don't have any relation to it. It's an area of AI that I haven't explored at all yet myself. When we talk about creativity in AI, what comes to my mind is, for example, happened to me just last week, actually. I was writing an outline for a training. What I used to do was to write that outline completely by myself and then put that into ChatGPT for it to give me further inspiration. Now I had less time, so I thought I'll just have a ChatGPT do this from scratch for a different training. And I was so disappointed by the output. Because reading through the output, I realized in my mind, actually, this does not tick the boxes at all. So it was an interesting experience for me that, even though ChatGPT knows me and has helped me create things before, it still doesn't necessarily really understand me well enough to know, okay, this is exactly what she will be looking for. And in a way, I find that very comforting. That my brain is not 100% transparent to ChatGPT just yet. But this is how I use it for creativity. And that experience just showed me one more time that it's good to enrich my things with ChatGPT, but I still prefer to rely on my own brain. And it will be a very interesting discussion today to see how can that be translated into actual video creation, for example, which is a pinnacle of creativity.
Because a tool like Sora 2 is enabling anybody and everybody to create incredible video with them in it, if they choose or not, text to video creation. So you can look at it from two ways. Either it's really taking your imagination to infinite possibility and bringing to life your imagination in ways that you never thought possible, which then opens up this world of amazing fantasy and imagination, that storytelling and so many things can come of that. And it's no longer restricted to people with a certain skill set. So that's amazing. But then on the flip side, using a tool like Sora 2 to bring your imagination to life, how much is that taking away our imagination because we're no longer imagining it like we would have imagined it, but we're letting a tool imagine it for us. Now, of course, that depends on how detailed your prompt is. If you know exactly what you want and you can write that in a very, very specific, detailed prompt, then I would say that your imagination is really coming to life without AI messing with it or embellishing it. A quick and easy example here is that my son drew a character and I put it into ChatGPT and I told it to turn it into a small animation, bring the character to life with video. And it did, but my son said that that's actually not his character. He did not see it like that when he drew it. And I'm so proud of my 5-year-old son to actually look at that and recognize that that's not the character he had in mind when he drew it. My daughter, on the other hand, when she put in her character, she loved the representation of that character that AI created. And she was like, oh my God, my character's now alive. And that's exactly how I imagined the character. So the question really arises is, how can we use tools like Sora and now Sora 2, which soon all of us will have access to really take our imagination to the next level and create wonderful things from it without letting it destroy the root of our own imagination, and that then too of our kids. And this is really the conversation, because there is lots of benefit to being able to take your imagination to infinite levels. But then again, is there? I don't know. It's a question, right? Like, what is the benefit of everyone just creating fantastical videos in Sora in the big picture, right? I don't know. If it's just to demonstrate possibility, great. But then there also comes things like, if I can put myself in a video and make it look fantastical and bring my imagination to life, like maybe I'm on the moon, that's me. It's not a real video of me. It's, creating a fake video of me doing something I would probably never do in my life. What good is that doing to the space of information that we are all consuming every day? So it's a big debate, and I don't know the answer, but that's why we're talking about it.
Having listened to you just now, Abba, the first thought that comes to mind for me, specifically when I think of children using Sora, for example, would be that at the beginning they would, let's say, scratch their own character like your kids did. And they would put in a certain amount of detail, and they would choose the colors, and they would decide whether it looks angry or if it's a funny character, and so on and so forth. So they themselves would think about all of those details. Now, they would give that to Sora, and then, well, if it's your son, he would say, this is not what I wanted. So he would probably then, once he's capable of doing that, refine the prompt and doing over and over again until he actually does have the character that he imagined. Now, for characters or people like your daughter, for example, who has a first idea, and then Sora takes it to the next level for her, and she is fascinated by the amount of detail that she gets, even though it might not be 100% what she imagined. The only danger that I see here is that when we are satisfied with the output of Sora or any other AI tool for that matter, we might again really start to become lazy. So we might outsource even our imagination, our creativity to tools like that. And then the next big question is, in how far would I have reached the best possible result if I had used my own imagination instead? If I had allowed my own creativity to unfold in unlimited ways, rather than, just igniting it and then handing it over to an AI tool, for example. So of course, I'm not saying that the results that we get from an AI tool are bad results. Of course, otherwise there wouldn't be a hype the way that it is. And when I look at it, I am quite impressed about the level of quality that I see in those results. But I am always still wondering, probably also because I keep thinking back of such simple things like creating an agenda for a training, how are the results ultimately different? And if I would have the option to really always compare both human-made result and AI result, which ones would I prefer? Which one would I actually opt for if I had that choice?
And I think it all comes down to, again, being able to think critically when we have an output from AI, whether that's us or children, whether that's for something simple as a training or something a bit more imaginative, like fantastical, like a video, right? Like you said, it's so easy to get lazy and be like, you know what? AI has actually imagined this better than I would have. But then did you actually think and imagine for yourself what this should have been? Or did you just kind of give the reins to AI and give just a very skeleton outline and just let AI do the rest? And, while technically there's nothing wrong with that, it does affect your ability to be creative mentally. So again, it comes down to how are we using these tools for our own creativity, imagination, rather than using these tools to replace our own creativity and imagination. And it's something we need to be aware of on a daily basis. And also we need to get our kids to be aware of, so that children are the most imaginative creatures on the planet. Like, they are so curious, they're so imaginative. When my daughter makes up stories, my son makes up stories, they're fabulous. And if I want that story to come to life, I want the core of that story to be from my daughter or from my son. I want more than an outline from them. But then it's my job to make sure that if they do use a tool like AI to bring their story to life, that there's enough of the actual story that comes from their brain rather than just saying, okay, this is kind of what I want to do, AI do the rest. The easy thing to do is just to get AI to do it all. And then that's just going to deplete us as a human race. And we've talked about this before too. You know, we can't let that happen.
I'd like to bring in the word of fulfillment here, because what I was reminded of as well when you showed me Sora earlier, before we started this episode, I was thinking of a masterclass that I recently watched with Bob Iger, who is the former CEO of Walt Disney. And he was talking a lot about that transition when Disney actually bought Pixar movies and how that really changed the creativity of people in that sense. And what I really loved to see was when, for example, for Monsters Inc., they started to scratch their ideas for the monsters still on paper until they perfectioned it, and then they took it over and then put it into the computer to then do all of those animations. And it was a very long process. And I was just thinking, if I imagine that, it starts as simple as this, just with a pencil in my hand, and I have a piece of paper in front of me, and I'm just starting to scratch that, and then, or sketch it, and then I see the movie of Monsters Inc. that basically originated from my pencil. That must be so extremely fulfilling, right? Especially when I am in a profession like that, where the output is something that is created the way that Sora does it now. So I'm just wondering, even if I am in a profession like this and I would then utilize tools like Sora, is it as fulfilling to me as it used to be in the old-fashioned way? And if so, what does that do to, for example, my satisfaction at the work that I'm doing? I know that this is a very abstract question, but it just came up for me because oftentimes we find fulfillment in things that are not easy. We find fulfillment in things that really keep us busy and keep us, thinking about it for a longer period of time, because that makes us even prouder once we see the result out of that hard work.
I think very interesting what you're saying, and it's absolutely true. But I think what will happen is just the way we work on these projects will change. So to get a better output, you will have to put in more work. It will just be not pen to paper, but maybe working with these tools in a more specific way. And it will be a skill set for you to be able to create very good videos, animations, whatever, Pixar level stuff. I don't think any person is going to be able to do it as well as a real animator will be able to do it. I do feel that the human input from expertise will shine through and distinguish, really good video from the one that everyone is creating. I mean, and I just think the way we work is going to change. Let me give you an example of a song the Beatles created using AI, and actually it went up for a Grammy. Ringo Starr had recorded his voice in the 70s, and he wanted to bring this song to life, but it never happened. So what the Beatles did, led by Paul McCartney, they took his voice, they isolated it, they extracted it from that recording that was just taken on the phone. They used their musical expertise along with the ability of AI to regenerate Ringo Starr's voice based on that 40-year-old voice recording, or many more years voice recording. And they recreated that song as if Ringo Starr was alive. And the song is amazing. So it just goes to show they still had to do a lot of work. There was a lot of technical stuff that they needed to do, but it would have been impossible to do this without AI. So again, I feel the way we start working and the way we start integrating these tools into our expertise will change. And therefore, I'm sure Paul McCartney felt very fulfilled recreating a song of Ringo Starr that never came to life, but he could only do that because AI helped him. And they are all musicians, obviously, so they could write the song and they could insert Ringo Starr into it as if he was really singing it by actually using his voice, cloning it, removing all the extra sound, and then adding all the other singers' vocals to it, and then recreating a song that is mixed with human and AI. So again, I just think the way we work is going to change, and the way we get fulfillment from our work is going to change because of how we use AI to augment our work.
That was a beautiful example. I didn't know about that one, but it
Amazing.
sounds pretty fascinating. And I'm glad that they kept that recording over all of those decades. And yes, I mean, it's very true. Ultimately, I believe that in a couple of years from now, we will probably laugh about today's recording because we were so much in the unknown. As you said, the way we work keeps changing. The way of how we find fulfillment in our work keeps changing. I believe 5 years down the road from now, AI will probably do the vast majority of the work that we do today. And it will have become the new normal. And then we don't wonder about how to integrate AI into our day-to-day because it is a very normal part of our day-to-day. But again, since we are in the here and now and we are not 5 years into the future, for now our question again is, what is our understanding of all the opportunities that are out there, and who do we want to be when it comes to our work ethic, our understanding of how to find fulfillment in work, and also how can we utilize tools like Sora to get our imagination and creativity to the highest level it's ever been. Those are the questions for you to answer. We can't answer them for you, but we hope that we gave you some interesting pointers in our episode today, and we thank you as usual for having been here with us, and we're looking forward to hearing and seeing you again next week.